So, I'll tell you a story about how I stopped making last minute cake. We're going to call this guy John. That's not his name. But if you're new here, hello, my name is Gladys. I am a baker cake artist, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. On my channel, I've been discussing the subject of last minute cakes in recent times, and I'll link some resources below here for you to check out so that you can have some background to last minute cakes, what I feel about them, what I think about them, and why I have stopped making them. I think in the previous videos, I was able to explain how you can turn them as an opportunity in your business, but I don't take them. And the reason is this. When I started my business, I would take any and every order. And yeah, I was building my business. I was happy to do that. It was stressful though. I wish someone had told me. So not long ago, John gave me a call in the one day. It was somewhere around 2 p.m. one afternoon. And he's like, I want a cake. Sweet guy, can't fault him. What can I say? Discussed the order, and this is what got me. He was like, I'm like, why did you leave it so late? Because he was calling me for the cake order due next day. So next morning. So this is about 2 p.m. and the cake is due out 8 a.m. So he was like, I actually forgot, and that's my reason, except it's my wife and anything but a short bought cake. I'm really struggling here, he said. So I just thought, oh, poor thing. He wants to give his wife a nice cake. So my do-gooder self jumped on it. Except at this point, I was quite quitting my business. So I didn't have a stock of ingredients and materials, which means that I had to go shop for all of these things. Normally, when I get an inquiry like that, we discuss it quickly. I derive an order summary based on the information I have about your cake, send it to you, you will correct that if needed, and then I issue an invoice. Until a deposit is paid, I'm not touching that order. Except I think my emotions got the better of me because I was just thinking of doing good for this guy who just wanted to get their wife a cake. So guess what? I thought to myself, I was actually on my way for the school run, so I didn't have time to derive the order summary for them. And by the time I went and came back, it would have been a little later. So long story cut short, I exercised the initiative to do the shopping for his items on my way back. So either way, if they turned around and changed their mind, I would have lost the order anyway. But I don't suppose I was thinking about that because I think I got sold on the idea that he really genuinely wanted a cake for his wife. Right. So I shop for the items. I come back home, looking after the child and looking after my home. I didn't get to issue the order summary quickly enough. But on good faith, I just thought if I send the order summary and I don't, before they confirm and then they make payment, say 8 p.m., then I'm going to have to bake a cake at 8 p.m., whether I like it or not. So I sent them the order summary and everything else involved. I didn't hear back from them. But at this point, I was in the middle of making the cake. So next morning, I woke up. Actually, I tell you what, next morning I woke up and I had made a mistake with the recipe. It was a chocolate cake, and normally the base of the chocolate cake would be left to cool down before I mixed the liquid ingredient into the dry ingredient. It's my chocolate cake recipe. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link that chocolate cake recipe in the description box here for you to check out. So I ended up making the base of the chocolate cake too warm. And then when I mixed the cake, bakes it, the texture wasn't great. And I only found out in the morning when the cake was set and I was trying to cut into it. I cut into it and there were chunks of flour. I was like, damn. Thankfully, I had woke up around 5 a.m. to check on the cake because the cake was due out in the morning about 9. So when I woke up at 5 a.m. and the cake wasn't in the shape, when I woke up and the cake had turned on me, I was like, I have to bake a cake. So I literally spent 5 a.m. baking the cake. baking the cake, trying to prep everything else so that this cake somehow will be out at what, 9 a.m. Come 8 a.m., I hadn't heard from this guy. So I said to myself, what if it doesn't show up? What am I going to do? What am I really going to do with this one? So at 8:20, I sent him a message. I'm like, I didn't hear from you, but I am still prepping the cake. So if you do require the cake, let me know. And guess what? The bugger sent me a message and said, my daddy's got COVID. Now, their dad could have had COVID. But you wanted a cake for your wife, though. So did your dad end up with COVID overnight? And what does that even mean? I mean, I couldn't be mad, okay? This was on me. It was me who had decided that I wanted to risk my business integrity and take on a last-minute cake as a favor and be a Mrs. Do-Gooder. I still have that message from John till today. It has to remind me every time someone calls me wanting a cake, last minute. I'm like, not today, not today. And yeah, that is how I stopped taking last minute cake orders. But having said that, I only do last minute cake orders as a self-imposed action, like the cake that you order a very long time and then I sit about doing everything else but make a cake, and then 24 hours before the cake is due, I'm like, we've got to get a cake out. So that is just, by the way, that's how I came to not making last minute cakes. But if you take them, good for you. I find that they are actually a good opportunity to do some good, help customers, build a relationship, because people remember how you made them feel, especially in their time of need. So if you do make a good impression and help a customer, they might be loyal to you and they will come back and they will probably name you and recommend your business. Who knows? It's an opportunity to put your business out there. So I had made cakes a little while, like years before this happened. And I think I was at the point where I was almost like scaling down. So my options for taking last minute orders, even for regular orders, I don't take all of them. I turn a lot of them down. So my point is, don't be disheartened, but make sure you're better organized. You have a stock of ingredients and tools and materials to assist in making the process seamless and stressless. And don't be scared to negotiate with the customer to compromise on design element, because sometimes if they require a cake that requires specific personalized things on it, postage inconveniences and things that are out of your control, as in dealing with third parties, may impact how quickly your turnaround process will be. So I'll encourage you to have a conversation with the client, let them know where your mind is at in terms of what you want to create for them. And if they're flexible and open-minded, why not? But if you're only taking last-minute cake orders because the money is good, you want to be careful, because just taking money for cake orders, it will burn you out real quickly. It will burn you out. There is no motivation in all of that. But hey, that's my story about last-minute cake.